to ask you about Thomas Partey. The game at Old Trafford last season, everyone sort of felt as the moment Thomas arrived, where he went there and bossed Man United. How do you feel he's played since then, and why do you think at times he's struggled to recreate that kind of form?
Well, first of all, he hasn't had the consistency in terms of minutes and gameplays because of the injuries. Have break that in many occasions. Then is the adaptation to the league, and you can see many examples of players that have come here and they have needed some time to do that. But he had a very early impact, as you mentioned, that game. And then what we are looking for to do is to have that top performances consistently, and to do that he needs to be fit.
In terms of how much we've seen from him, how much more do you think there is to come? And you spoke about him being, the boss of the midfield. Is that his character? Because he seems a very sort of laid back type of individual. Do you think he can develop into that type of person?
He's laid back, and the impression that he gives, but he is very demanding of himself, and he has the right experience, and he's won quite a lot already in his career, and that's what I want from him. And yeah, I think his peak at this club is still not where it is right now.
Hi Mikel, thanks again for hosting this. I was just going to ask you on Ralph Rangnick. I seem to remember when you took over at Arsenal, you were unveiled and announced on the Friday, weren't you?
Yeah.
Everton the following day, and you sat in the stands, as sort of kind of almost an observer really. You knew you were a manager. I think there's probably the same process for Ralph Rangnick, tomorrow night. How difficult is that? Is that one of the most torturous experiences that you've known? Your manager and can't quite influence.
Yes, obviously you come with the biggest energy and passion and willing to start straight away to do that. But in my case, we decided, I spoke with Freddie at the time, that was the coach, and I decided, listen, you've been taking the training session, lead that game, prepare it as you want, have completely freedom in order to do that, and I would just introduce myself to the players and the staff, and after the Everton game, we will start to work.
Will he find it difficult to take that, be slightly reserved, take that backward step from the team, even if he's in the stadium? And I guess conversely, do you see a reaction immediately from the players because they're playing for a new guy?
I don't know. Probably I did it because I thought it was the best way, because in that case Freddie was with the players every single day. He prepared the whole week, and for me it made all the sense to continue to that for that game, and that's it. But every person is different.
Just going back to Auba, if I may, it was quite noticeable that you were really trying to. You were very passionate about him when he sort of kind of tracked back and made a sort of a challenge on Saturday. You could see that desire from him. So his desire and his determination as a captain is always there. I guess it's just the confidence now in front of goal, isn't it, after Saturday? But you can always see that passion in him.
And that's non-negotiable. We want to play the way we want to play. Our front players have to be putting the pressure on that ball every single time. And that moment changes the momentum of the game a little bit, because a few minutes later we scored the goal again in another high-press situation after regaining the ball and being set in the final third. And that's what I demand. To put the ball in the net or not, sometimes it's a cost of millimeters a second, and Auba has that capacity, and he hasn't lost that capacity. So what he cannot lose is the rest, thinking I'm not going to do a little bit of that now to score more goals. It doesn't work like that. It works for me in the opposite way around, because he had 4 opportunities the other day to put the ball in the net.
And that underlines his importance and the role of his captain, just how much he influences the team even when he's not scoring.
Absolutely, and he does certain work, and last time he did it for 60-70 minutes, then Laka came on, then Martinelli came on, and in this period in particular, that's when fatigue arises and the team are struggling physically, it's going to be key that the players on the bench has the impact that Gabi had today, for example.
Thanks.
Nick. Hi Mikel, nice
Hi.
to see you. I don't know whether you saw some comments the other day, maybe on Monday, from Marcelo Bielsa, and he was talking about the schedule and the calendar of football, and he said, and I'm quoting here, he said he's got serious doubts about the future of professional football because of the commercialisation and the number of games, and he said the product's getting worse. If someone like Marcelo is saying that, should we take it seriously?
Well, I think we all have been taking very seriously all the conversations the manager had in recent months and years, I would say, with all the regulators, they've been in the same direction. We want to play more games, more schedule in less time. COVID and the new World Cup fixtures are modifying completely the dates and the timing between the fixtures. Financially, football is going through a moment where it is difficult to have 25, 30 outfield players, a squad. But if you don't have as well, you just loading players all the time. I think we have to be very, very careful.
You said that the product is getting worse because of that. Is that true?
I think the product in this country is magnificent still, but we have to maintain it magnificent, and there are certain things that, in my opinion, have to be reviewed.
But we've had this conversation quite a number of times before, haven't we? Like talking about the schedule and how how managers talk to the authorities and try and find a common ground, but it doesn't really get better, does it?
Well, at the moment it doesn't look, because every time that we are talking or discussing something is to do more and more and more. But at some stage, hopefully we don't start to make changes when things are in a worse place, because that would take a while to put it right.
I mean, I look at Thomas Partey, for example. He's got an AFCON coming up.
Yeah.
Hopefully got a World Cup if going to make it. Then he's got another AFCON about 6 months after, and these are obviously important tournaments, but it's a lot.
It's a lot, and the traveling and the stress and the mind and the body are very connected, and it's not only about the amount of stress you put on the body, because the mind needs to be rested as well, and when you have that, it's always on the back of your mind as well. I'm doing that, but I have this still coming up, and that's not easy.
Just one I'm going back to an early question. Nuno Tavares, one of the quite nice things about watching him is that he's quite unpredictable, which maybe is sometimes a bit of a nightmare for you, but it does mean that there's that kind of chaotic element when he goes forward, and he can kind of put opponents in a place where they don't want to be. Is that an appealing part of his game?
No, that's something that we want to make the game as predictable as possible for us only, not for the opponent. And Nuno has the capacity to suddenly do something special, and obviously his physicality allows him to do actions that they are not very common to see. But Kieran has this capacity as well to do that from full-back position. That is not rare. It's just the areas where we want to do that, and the risk and reward management, which is very important.